Hey guys, Shio here, and I finally gotten all the achievements for Final Fantasy V Pixel Remastered. This achievement hunt was a long one, 64 hours to be exact. If you're planning to 100% this game, ready to be spending at least 16 plus hours just farming monsters for job levels, because I spent quite a while just farming for job levels for the Mastering All Jobs achievement, which was boring, but I did it. But I'll just say this about the game: I feel like the only challenging thing about this game was, especially with the achievements, was trying to figure out certain job setups or class setups for bosses. For example, the Guild Turtle boss, optional boss, which is an optional boss. You'll be around level 34, found in World 2 of the game, was probably the most difficult optional boss I fought. Mainly because you don't have great gear in World 2, and the stats of the Guild Turtle are really high, and it counterattacks for 1000 damage every time you hit it, so it took a while to figure out a setup to actually fight this beast of a boss. Also, if you're planning on playing this game without a guide, get ready to get lost very easily, because I feel like in this game they don't give you much of a direction on hints on where to go. I know it's an old classic RPG where the object of the game is to explore to find out where to go in the story. I'm not saying this as a negative about the game, more in lines of a heads up to anyone who's used to being told what to do or where to go, that this game doesn't offer much direction in that sense. Okay, time to run down the achievements. Like always, I'll start with the achievements that don't need much explaining whatsoever, such as the gold achievements, the battle achievements, the leveling achievements, and the job achievements. These achievements are self-explanatory and don't need much explaining whatsoever. Now for the achievements that do need some explaining, starting with the chest achievements. You're saying this achievement needs explaining? Well, this one was simple except for one particular part in the game, which was Karnak Castle. During a part of the game, you'll be put into Karnak Castle where you have 10 minutes to escape the castle alive. Every chest in this castle will give you a fight, aka there's a monster in every chest. And not to mention the blue magic that you need to obtain in the last fight of the castle. I'll be talking about blue magic right after this. So in the game, Karnak Castle, there's a specific route that I need to take to actually get all the chests for the chest achievement. And it was actually very difficult to manage the 10-minute time for the first 9 runs. I think it was my 10th run that I actually completed the whole Karnak Castle and got out alive with the blue magic and every item in the chests. But there was very little time to save, through every fight, and you can easily run into a random encounter that was very hard to run away from because you don't have that much running, escape speed. I think that's what the escape speed in this game, where if you don't have a specific class like thief to escape with, that you can't really escape from battles that fast. So you had very little time to waste, and you had to hope that you didn't run into that many encounters between each chest. The blue magic achievements. So blue magic in this game is an obtainable magic from bosses and or monsters. To obtain blue magic, you need to either have a blue mage on the battlefield or a character with learning to be hit by a learnable enemy magic, and the character must be alive at the end of the fight to learn said magic. The blue magic in this game made it so much more easier for boss fights and everything, because there were certain gimmicks where you use a spell called 1,000 Needles to do 1,000 damage to bosses. Well, if you are playing through this game as well, I will link a blue magic guide I used in the description down below that made finding which magic was obtainable so much more easier. Okay, the bestiary achievements. These achievements were fairly simple because I had multiple saves along the way at certain parts of the game, just in case I missed a missable monster, but it came in handy when I needed to fight the Guild Turtle boss in World 2. But I'll be honest with you, the only thing hard about this achievement was fighting 2 specific boss monsters, which were the Guild Turtle and Omega, which has his own achievement attached to him as well, so I'll explain more about him later on his achievement. Item Detector achievement. Felt a lot more easier in this game. Instead of items being scattered everywhere across a single map, it felt like they were more put into more obvious spots on the map instead of very hidden or very hard to find spots like they did in the previous games. The only hidden item that was hard to find was the magic lamp, which was hidden at the top of Istery Falls in World 3, where you needed to take a chocobo over some dark blue water to get to. Adventurous Wayfarer was a funny achievement because there was a chocobo forest in World 2 in the same spot you get to Istery Falls dungeon that you need to head to in World 2, or you can't get the achievement if you miss it. I had to backtrack into World 2 to a World 2 save and go to the Chocobo Forest to actually get the achievement. It was a pretty out of the way spot in my opinion, which made it funny. Piano Maestro. This achievement was fairly easy because all you had to do was find every piano in the game and go to which was more than likely in the bar at each town that you go to. So it was fairly easy to just find these pianos and play it. Note, if you ever play this game and you get all the pianos, go to the Bard in Crescent to obtain more songs for your Bard class. Some of the songs are actually pretty good in battle. Ultimate Machine. This is an achievement for actually fighting one of the optional bosses, Omega, who was a pain to fight because every time you hit him, he either counters with Mustard Bomb, which wasn't his, which honestly wasn't the pain attack. His most painful response to being hit was Rocket Punch, where if hit by Rocket Punch, if Rocket Punch hits a character, it confuses said character. I had to run a specific setup of 2 Master Freelancers with white mage abilities and 2 Mimics with dual wielding Spellblade and Rapid Fire to beat this pain of a boss. I felt like it was purely RNG that helps you beat this boss because I couldn't figure out a way to get Rocket Punch not to hit. Like if Rocket Punch actually hits you, it confuses your character, so it wastes that turn attacking yourself or a teammate. That's what confusion does. So I had to get lucky and hope that he didn't hit my second Spellblade, who was about to attack when I rapid fired with my first Spellblade, and he respawns with 4 extra attacks. Ultimate Dragon. This was another achievement from an optional boss, Shinryu, the Dragon, which can be found in the chest of a final floor of the game. His main gimmick is his Tidal Wave ability, which did a good 4k plus damage to each of my characters, but if you put on Coral Rings on your characters, it'll just heal your characters instead of doing damage to them. But I didn't need to do this gimmick because I ran Kaiser Knuckles with my Monk class and Rapid Fire as my extra ability to turn this boss, which was actually pretty easy. Now for the story achievements. We first start out at the beginning of the game where our hero Bart saves Lena and Galuf from the easiest monsters to kill in the game, goblins. To get the first achievement, take the first step. Next we head all the way to the Wind Shrine in looking for Lena's father, King Tycoon. When we get there, the crystal shatters and we are told we are now the crystal bearers and must stop the remaining 3 crystals from shattering too, from King Tycoon himself, obtaining the achievement Passion Essence of Wind. On our way to the Water Shrine, as we enter the Crystal Room, we find a Gorilla and a guard fighting. After the Gorilla just shuts down utterly destroys the guard in one hit, we get into a fight with it. This guy was strong, but we end up beating it either way, and after the fight, the crystal mysteriously shatters. We obtain more job classes and the next achievement, Devotion Essence of Water. After trying to save the Fire Crystal, we get fallen into Karnak Castle, where without the crystal we have 10 minutes to escape until the castle blows up. This took a couple tries, mainly because I needed to get all the chests in the place for the chest achievement, so it took me some tries to beat it. But I ended up successfully beating it in 10 minutes and got the achievement Courage Essence of Flame. After heading to Crescent, we end up losing our ship and headed to the Chocobo Forest near it to find a black chocobo that can fly. Also, the Chocobo ended up eating 2 crystals that flew all the way there from Karnak Castle, so we ended up getting 2 more classes, Bard and Ranger, as long as the achievement Endangered Creature. Traveling through the desert, we end up in the ruined town of Gone, where we find King Tycoon. We end up falling through the floor as we were about to confront Lena's father, King Tycoon, and into what appears to be the secret ruins of this town. After traversing the ruins, we end up finding an airship, and conveniently Sid and his grandson drop in as well, and we obtain the airship and we get the achievement Ancient Relic. As we get access to Ronka Ruins, we traverse the floating ruins. We end up on the final floor finding King Tycoon himself, and the boss of the ruins, Archeovis? I think that's how you pronounce it. The boss was fairly easy. I was using blue magic spell 1000 Needles on it, which always does 1000 damage, so it died very fast. But after we beat the boss, we end up in the Crystal Room. We then find out King Tycoon is being controlled. As he was about to attack us, Galuf's daughter, Kryle, I think that's how you pronounce her name? Kryle? Let's call her Krillin. comes in and defeats King Tycoon with a single spell, but after the whole ordeal, the Earth Crystal ends up shattering and a new enemy appearing to destroy the world known as X-Death appears. So after all that happened, we ended up obtaining new jobs and the next achievement, Hope Essence of Earth. We end up using all the power from the meteors Galoof and his friends used to transport themselves to Bart's world in order to teleport ourselves to Galoof's world for the achievement, A Whole New Realm. After getting into a fight with Gilgamesh and his lackey on board a warship, we end up beating Gilgamesh, and Zizat, I think that's how you pronounce his name, ends up taking us down the ship, to our surprise to find a submarine. And using it to sneak into Barrier Tower. While traversing Barrier Tower, we end up fighting the boss Atomos, I think that's how you pronounce the name, which his gimmick is after you die, he sucks you in, and if you're dead long enough, the party member gets sucked into the void and no longer can be able to be resurrected. This was a tough fight. I remember being on really low HP, down to 2 members defeating this boss. But after that, as the Barrier Tower is destroyed, we end up getting the next achievement, Entrusted Hearts. After some traveling, we end up in the Forest of Moor, where we're fighting the Guardian of the Tree here. I think it's the Guardian. After defeating the Guardian, to our surprise, we were supposed to protect it, and X-Death laughs in our face and attempts to destroy us. But Kryl, again, comes in and tries to save the day, to end up getting captured as well. Galoof, enraged, fights off X-Death temporarily, defeating him, and in return dying. Kryl then obtains all of Galoof's powers, and we have a new party member now, Galoof's granddaughter, Kryl. As we are about to have our final battle with X-Death in Galoof's world, we traverse X-Death's castle and end up fighting X-Death himself. You can learn one of his spells here, and by using level 3 Flare, it makes this fight a cakewalk. So after we defeat X-Death, the worlds merge into one, returning everyone home, and now we are in World 3, the Merged Worlds, and obtain the achievement, the Return Home. During our adventure in the Merged World, we end up finding the Tower of Walsh, which is now hidden underwater. While traversing the tower while underwater, we end up finding the first floor of the tower. We end up finding a crystal being guarded by a mimic there. This fight was kind of confusing because all you have to do is wait 2 minutes while doing absolutely nothing whatsoever in order for the mimic to defeat itself and leave. Obtaining our last job class, Mimic, and the achievement, Master Mimic. After gaining all 4 tablets across the world, we end up bringing them to the sealed castle of Castle Kuza. In order to obtain all the legendary weapons sealed in the castle to help defeat X-Death, as we obtain all the weapons, we get the achievement, Fabled Weapons. After going through the last dungeon of the game, the Dimensional Rift, we end up in the final floors of the game, where we fight Neo X-Death himself. The fight was pretty easy since I was level 60 plus from all the job experience grinding I was doing beforehand, so I was 2 master freelancers with white magic and 2 monks with Kaiser Knuckle and Rapid Fire to quickly take down this joke of a final boss. But I will be honest here though, this form of X-Death kinda looks cool in a freaky kind of way. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I spent a lot of time working on this video, so I really do hope you enjoyed it. I'm still trying to work on the whole script format for these videos. This is still trial and error for me for how the format of commentary goes. I'm hoping to improve this later on and take out anything that's unnecessary, that I feel unnecessary. So I really do hope this does improve over time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to catch me live, come to my Twitch where I stream this all live on Twitch. Link will be down in the description down below. As always, stay safe, and I hope you enjoy and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.